Yo, what is going on, Descendants? Smollzy here with another build guide for you. This one revolving around the Excava, the new gun. And let me just say, I think that this is a really cool weapon. I actually really like the way that the unique ability works. I like the way the gun looks. I think it's a very pretty gun, and it actually is a very effective gun if you're using the right Descendant. So let's hop into the gun real quick and see what's going on. So when we look at the unique ability, hitting an enemy grants the unique effect voltage charge. When voltage charge reaches max stacks, it changes to the unique ability energy grenade. While energy grenade is active, fires an energy grenade when shooting while aiming, which deals increased damage based on the number of stacks. Hitting an enemy with an energy grenade inflicts voltage accumulation. Kind of a lot going on there. It's pretty simple actually though. How the gun works is when you are hip firing, the gun has a pretty good hip fire. Doesn't really change a whole lot. You're gonna start building stacks on the left of your gun. And you can stack these grenades, as it was talking about in the ability, up to 3 times. And the grenades won't discharge until you decide to ADS and then pull the trigger. Another thing with this gun's unique ability is that it actually boosts the crit rate with each grenade stack. So let's build one stack up. And our crit rate went from 85% to 95%. That's just with one stack. Get another. And now we're at 100%. If you would like my Hailey build that brings you to 100% skill crit rate, 100% gun crit rate, I'll leave that in the description below. It's just a really cool weapon in my opinion. And the gun sounds really cool. But all the coolness aside, when you look at the ability, what it actually does is, like I explained, you can hip fire the gun, you build up the stacks of grenades, and then you discharge them when you decide to ADS and shoot. So one of the big downfalls of this gun, if you're not using it on a proper Descendant, is going to be the crit rate. The crit rate on this gun is very low. It's got a base stat of 3. Normally with a gun that doesn't have any crit rate like this, usually you don't want to build into it because it's just not going to be as effective. A good example of this is going to be the Python. It has a very low crit rate. I believe it's a 5% crit rate, but this actually has a high weak point damage modifier on it. So this gun actually does hit really well. So with a gun like this, I would want to build it into weak point rather than crit rate. But with this gun specifically and the Descendant, this gun is supposed to be best with, which is Hailey. The reason is because Hailey is able to do 2 things. She's able to increase weak point damage by 50%. She's also able to up the crit rate on a gun. So that's the reason this gun is actually going to be useful for us. And the truth is that some guns are just going to be better with other Descendants. Again, another example is going to be the Python. Why? Because when you look at the ability, on hitting a weak point inflicts unique ability prey on the target. What does that do? Non-attribute resistance, right? Toxic resistance. So clearly one of the best, if not the best Descendant to use this gun with is going to be Freyna, right? Reason is she is non-attribute and she's also a toxin Descendant, right? So this gun is being built with Hailey in mind, right? With the extra weak point damage and her able to buff the crit rate of the gun actually makes this gun pretty viable. And to get the most out of this gun, I genuinely believe that this is just a bossing weapon. You can use it on mobs, no problem. Just shooting trash mobs. They're usually pretty low in health anyways. They're just gonna die. But commanders and Colossi, I think, are where this shines the most. So with Hailey being like the main Descendant we're going to use this gun with, let's hop into the mods real quick and let's take a look. So like I said earlier, with guns that don't have a high base crit rate, normally I wouldn't want to build into that. Typically you want to build into what the gun is best at. But again, with Hailey being able to buff crit rate and increase weak point damage, those are 2 things that we can kind of play with a little bit that help give us some leeway in the build. So when we look at the mods real quick, we have action reaction, rifling reinforcement, edging shot, recycling genius, better concentration, concentration priority, electric enhancement, rapid fire insight, real life fighter, and better insight. So with Excava's ability clearly revolving around electricity, I think it's pretty smart to build into that as well, right? So when looking at Hailey's abilities that are going to increase our damage, there's 3 of them, but I kind of just want to focus on 2 of them. The main 2 are going to be Cold of Fury, and then her passive safe strategic retreat. And if you didn't know, elements actually scale with crit damage. When you get a crit with your firearm attack, you're also going to get a crit with the elemental damage. And so that looks kind of like this. Not only is electric going to do increased damage when you do get a crit because it's going to scale with crit, enemies inflicted with electrocution take damage over a period of time, suffer weakened defense, and experience mild daze. So you're actually going to reduce overall defense when using electricity, That will only occur when they are electrocuted. You know, electricity lines running through them, they're dazed. So it's just kind of a nice little bonus to keep in mind. So something you can do to increase how often they do get electrocuted is going to put attribute trigger rate on the gun. I don't have that roll. My RNG just wasn't the best. But there are a couple of roll options you could go with. Rounds per magazine is great. Weak point damage would be great, or attribute trigger effect rate. I think any of those are going to be really good. Unfortunately, if we're rolling just one gun perk, it's pretty expensive. I do need to go farm out some more materials. Remember, it's 20 currency per roll, so to just roll one is very expensive, but that's just going to kind of be up to the game whenever they decide to let me have that perk. Another reason rounds per magazine actually isn't that bad is because with this build, using the Slayer set with Hailey, we're actually going to get general rounds capacity increased and our rounds per mag is going to increase. So they are going to stack. If it was a higher roll, I would have even more ammo, right? So it's not a bad roll, but if you just want straight damage, like weak point, attribute trigger effect, right? Those two would be like my ideal perks to get. And on top of all of those buffs that we just talked about, Hailey has one more ability that really helps out with damage. And in my opinion, this ability is just kind of icing on the cake. You don't need this to make the gun be good, but this is a really beneficial tool to use. The reason I don't really want to focus on this ability, it would be hard for me to show how effective the gun is on its own. If I did use this ability in the intro video, I would have killed it much quicker. All right, Descendants, that's going to do it for this build video. Hopefully I was able to kind of clear some things up with this gun. I know there's like rumors of it not being good. There's rumors of it being good. So I'm going to say I disagree that it's a bad gun. Some guns are just better with other Descendants than other guns. And as luck would have it, Hailey's my favorite Descendant at the moment. I've really been enjoying using the gun. I think it's a really cool gun. I think it sounds cool. I think it shoots cool. I think it has a unique ability. And I mean, come on, let's be honest. The gun does look nice. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.